Hey, thank you everyone for joining us for ANC 6E meeting, March 25, 2026. It is 6:35 p.m. I will start by doing a roll call and call to order. Commissioner Rogers, have you joined the meeting? Let's see, is is this Commissioner Rogers?
Yeah, speaking.
Okay, great. So we do have quorum now. I will start by calling on your single member district um, to make sure that we have quorum 6E01, Commissioner Al-Adif,
Present.
6E02, Commissioner Watts. Let's see, Commissioner Watts, 6E03, Commissioner Rogers,
Yeah, I.
6E04. The commissioner is not feeling well. 6E05 present. 6E06 will not be able to join. And then 6E07, I think Commissioner Carson is here. 6E08, Commissioner
Present
Prince.
here.
And then 6E09, Commissioner Hans. Could you say that again? I don't think I could hear you.
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay. Great. So we have a quorum of five commissioners present, and then four commissioners who are absent. Moving to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. Let me share the screen with you. Um, sharing my screen. So we started by first two items. On the agenda we have next is the approval of the February 2026 meeting minutes. We have an update in discussion with Councilman Charles Allen, update from the mayor's office, and then MPD update on public safety. We have a presentation from Department of Transportation on safety improvements at the intersection of Massachusetts, Fifth and I Street Northwest. And then we have a very brief update on the East Street Bridge Housing Community Advisory Team. And then we have an open forum. And we will adjourn, and the next meeting would be on April 29th. Commissioners, do you have any suggestions, questions? Go ahead, Commissioner Prince.
Thank you. I would like to add to the agenda before we vote on it a presentation by the Mount Vernon Community Improvement D, is that district? I'm sorry. Uh, by
I think,
Kenyatta Robinson
yeah,
concerning a project they would like us to fund. And I would suggest that we insert that as item number 8.
it's item number 8. Sounds good. Okay. I will see. I think this is the website. But let me share the draft agenda. One second, let me pull up the Word document so we can. Um, yep. Do you know how long the presentation will be for? Oh, I think you're on mute, Mr. Prince. Could not hear you.
Thank you. I muted myself because of background noise.
No
Perhaps
problem.
10 minutes.
Sure. So,
Mount Vernon Triangle Community Improvement District, or CID. Yeah.
okay.
Um,
And this would be 9. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Um, any other comments or questions? No. Okay. Um, I make a motion to vote on approving the agenda for the ANC 6E March 25th meeting. Anyone would like to second?
I will
Okay.
second it.
Okay. So Commissioner Abukalaf moved the motion and Commissioner Prince seconded motion to vote on approving the draft agenda for the March 25th, 2026 meeting. I'll be calling on you to vote. Commissioner Al,
Aye.
Commissioner Rogers,
Aye.
I, Commissioner Prince,
Aye.
and then Commissioner Hans.
Aye.
Great. So the motion moves with 5 ayes, 0 nays, and no abstains. And then moving to the next item, which is approving the February 26 meeting minutes. Commissioner Prince, would you like to make a motion? Oh, you're not, you're no longer, well, you're still the acting secretary. For now, hopefully that will be
I
fixed.
am involuntarily the acting secretary in absence of another. I
Right.
move that we approve the minutes, the draft minutes of the February meeting.
Right. Anyone would like to second? Okay, so Commissioner Prince moved and Commissioner Hans seconded a motion to approve the ANC 6E February 2026 meeting minutes. I'll be calling on you to vote. Commissioner Al,
Since I was not in that meeting, should I abstain from
yeah,
this vote?
you could definitely do that.
Yeah, I'll abstain.
Sure. Commissioner Rogers,
Aye.
I actually was also not part of that meeting and I will abstain. Commissioner Prince
Aye.
and Commissioner Hans.
Aye.
So the motion moves with 3 ayes and 2 abstains. Let's see. See, John. If Councilmember Allen has joined or not yet, be promoting Jan. Hi, Jan. How are you doing?
Hey, I am doing well. I have not talked to Councilmember Allen this evening, but I know he's coming. So if he's not here
Okay.
yet, I'll text him now.
All good. We can also see maybe if Trey can give an update. Um, the meantime. So Noah, birthday, I know that we have that um part until later. Hello, Trey, are you able to do an update for ANC 6E or are you waiting on Noah? I know we had you scheduled for later.
I'm able to do an update. I'm actually
Sure.
joined by a new team member tonight,
Oh,
Shania.
great.
If we could just bring
Yeah,
her.
sure thing.
She's joining us by way of the Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection. Um, so between the three of us, Noah, myself, and Shania, will be your Ward 6 representation. But I'm
Great.
happy tonight if after Shania gives a brief intro for herself if she'd like to.
Yes, that would be great. Welcome, Shania.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Shania Proctor. I'm currently being detailed over at the mayor's office to assist with MOKers in Ward 6. Just a little background on me. I came from Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection. I served on the Mayor's Special Events Task Group. So I'm really looking forward to working alongside you guys. I'm super excited to just help in the community. I grew up in this area, so I'm looking forward to working with you.
Great, and welcome to Word 6. Please
Thank
let
you.
us know, Trey and Shania, if you have any updates for ANC 6E.
Awesome. I have a few for us tonight. I'll get started with the RFK Campus Master Plan because there's a couple of community engagement opportunities coming up that I'd like to highlight. Mayor Bowser, the DC Office of Planning, and the RFK Project Management Office are inviting residents to participate in developing a master plan for the new campus. We'd like to take this time now to add your voice to the discussion about the redevelopment of the RFK site, and we're encouraging residents to take advantage of the upcoming engagement opportunities. So there are a few on this coming Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. There's going to be a community open house at St. Coletta of Greater Washington that's located at 1901 Independence Ave. And the closest metro stop to that one, I believe, is Stadium Armory. For those that can't join in person, there's also a virtual opportunity. From March 30th to April 10th, there'll be a survey link available at rrfk.dc.gov. And that's an opportunity for people to provide feedback on the master plan that's developed. And then finally, on the RFK site, there's going to be a community site walk on Saturday, April 18th at 10 a.m. at the Stadium Armory Metro Station, where neighbors of the RFK Stadium campus area are going to be invited to join a walking tour. It's going to be led by the staff from the Office of Planning. This walk is going to include visits to areas that are important to the redevelopment and stopping points for discussion. And that's going to be like an interactive outdoor workshop. So that's it on RFK. And then finally, the DC Child Care Subsidy Program. Recently, the Office of the Deputy Mayor for Education announced that the DC Child Care projected to exceed its available funding for the fiscal year 26, prompting the Office of the State Superintendent of Education to implement cost control measures beginning May 12th of this year. Under the new policy, a wait list will be established for all new applicants who apply after May 12th. Those determined eligible will be placed on the wait list based on priority categories and the date of eligibility determination. Priority is given to families with the highest needs, such as children in protective services, experiencing homelessness, or those with disabilities, and those are followed by working families across income levels. Families that are currently receiving subsidies will continue to receive assistance as long as they remain eligible and complete required redeterminations. When space becomes available, families will be contacted in order and given 15 business days to accept the subsidy. Those who don't respond or decline may be moved to the end of the wait list or removed, depending on the timing. And additional changes will include a pause on onboarding new child care providers and a reduction in the allowable number of unexcused absences from 30 to 19 per month before a child may be removed from the program. Um, and at this time, further decisions about funding and program changes for the next fiscal year are still pending as we prepare to enter budget season in earnest. Um, that's it for my prepared updates, but I'm happy to take any questions that folks may have.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for Trey or Shania? Great. Constituents, any questions for Trey or Shania? Okay. Not seeing any. Thank you for your update. And yeah, thanks for joining us, Continuous Relationship, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. See that we have um John, any updates? We could also shift the agenda a little bit. I see that we have someone from the SID who could maybe.
I think Kenyatta would be great in the interim. Thank you.
Okay, great. Good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, I can see you and hear you. Okay. Are you joined by anyone else from the SID if
Let's
you
see.
would like to?
Grace, are you on? Or Caitlin? One of you guys
Oh yeah,
on?
I see Grace. Let's see. Caitlin Haswell.
Well, Caitlin Demumbrian.
Let's see. See
But
Grace.
Grace should be fine.
Yes,
Grace should be fine. Caitlin.
Caitlin de Montbrion is on. It's with a K. Caitlin with a K.
Oh, I see. Yes.
All right. So I see Caitlin and Grace on, so I'm ready whenever you guys are.
Sure.
All right. Well,
Go
thank you.
go go ahead.
I'm sorry, Commissioner. Thank you all for accommodating our request to be put on the agenda for these two asks, actually. The first, and we have a presentation for the first, and we're really excited about it. So I'm going to share my screen. And I believe you all should have gotten a copy of this in advance. But can everyone see that? That's on my screen?
Not yet. It
Is that?
says you've started screen sharing, but I don't see anything yet. Oh,
Yeah.
now we do. Yes, now
Okay.
we do.
All right.
And
Fantastic.
I don't believe that everyone got the email. I didn't see all commissioners addressed on your email,
Okay.
unless I was mistaken there.
Okay. Yeah, I just replied all to the
Okay.
exchange
All
that's
good.
happening in real time.
Oh,
We
okay.
But
we can see it now.
okay, great. Well, the first request is for funding through the ANC, I guess, budget allocation that comes from the Office of Advisory Neighborhood Commissions for this update to our MBT photo walk series. We're calling this one colloquially DC 250. As America celebrates its 250th anniversary, we thought, wouldn't it be interesting if we tell the story of what's happened in DC over the last 250 years, and in particular, with one particular part of the series, what was happening in 1976, which I believe was our decennial, right? 200 years, and what was happening in DC. And it was a very profound year here in the district. This photo walk exhibit is publicly available. This will be our fifth photo walk exhibit, and it ties directly to an exhibit happening currently at the DC History Center at the Carnegie Library called Class Action, around the desegregation and the integration of schools in DC. So it's a nice exhibit that's happening there. And it encourages people, after seeing this exhibit, to go to the DC History Center to see that larger exhibit. We worked on this with staff, with the curator and historians at the DC History Center. So there's a definite tie-in to the work they're doing there. And they provided a lot of the historical context as well as imagery for this event. So here you see the wall where we have photos in Prather's Alley alongside the Lyric apartment building. And if you've been down K Street, the corner block of K Street, you may have seen some of these photos that are in these frames. And so we would replace the photos that are there now, which is the Black Hair exhibit by Marvin Bowser, with the photos from this exhibit. And so here's some more images that show what these photos look like, both on the sidewalk and in the alley. And so one of the things that we really like about this particular activation is how we take spaces that generally are just for passing through, from from point A to point B, and make them interesting and do storytelling so that people look down or look up and see, what we're doing. And if you capture, one person out of 20 with a brief moment of whimsy, then we've done our job. And so our past shows, we've had four Through the Looking Glass, 24 Hours of Life in MBT, MBT Community in Detail, and then Black Hair by Marvin Bowser, which is up currently. And then what we propose is this project with the DC History Center to extend their current class action education opportunity in the nation's capital exhibit into our public space. And then here's some of the panels that we talked about. So along K Street, there'll be some panels, that give sort of a historical retrospective of, some of the transformation in our DC public schools as part of the class action photo series. And then in 1976, like I said, there were a number of very interesting things that were happening in DC. When America also turned 200. So down in the mall, everyone is celebrating America's 200th. Well, here in DC, Chuck Brown invented go-go in the year 200, 1976, 200 years in to DC, to America's history. And there were some other really profound things that were happening that we tell the story of in one part of the photo transitions. And then we'll have a panorama of a class photo from John Sousa High School, junior high school, which I believe is now Cardozo High School. And so that'll be one large panorama on the side of the 455I building near Bar Chinois. And so the total cost, the quote that we received from the vendor is 4189.48. We asked for an even 4200 in our grant application that we submitted to the Office of Advisory Neighborhood Commissions. And so what we're asking for tonight is approval from the ANC for this project and support of our requests for grant funds for this public space activation.
That is great. And I I will let every commissioner make comments or ask questions. I'm generally in support. I think what we need to do is have more of a system in place. I think we went back and forth about what the Office of ANC consider as a qualified project for an ANC grant, and I think what I personally would like to follow is I saw other commissions like 1B have a system where you actually submit a grant application um, that we can share with you, and then we run it by the Office of ANC. They make sure that it falls with their rules and requirements, and then the next meeting we would collectively, after getting the green light from the Office of ANC that it actually meets their requirements, and this is an eligible um, application for a grant by the commission, and then we can collectively vote on it. This commission, I believe, has yet to approve a grant because of the confusion about what is eligible and what is not for the Office of ANC. So I understand if there's a frustration or if there's an inconvenience because it would delay the process, but I think we need to have a system in place. Other commissioners, comments, questions? Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Prince.
Yeah, thanks. I have a little bit different approach to this because what I hear you saying is we would have a separate application process. I think that the Office of ANC's application process should be sufficient because it covers, I think it kind of covers all the bases. So I'm not sure why we would need our own. What we could do is uh, set out in advance some ideas about what we wanted to accomplish and then invite proposals for them. I believe a lot of ANCs take grant applications in an ad hoc basis, sort of rolling and approve them. This is my assumption. And I think that the criteria are already established. That is to say, the minimum requirements for what grant could, what is permissible, that's adjudicated by the Office of ANCs. That is, in fact, not our responsibility because they will give an opinion on that. They will give us a memorandum as to what is permissible, and if there's a red light, then of course we can't proceed, should not proceed. So I kind of think that we have enough already in the application, although some commissioners may not have had a chance to look at it. There's an application, there's budget. Of course, we have this presentation now and an opportunity to ask for any clarification. So for me, the question is sort of, do we want to consider it and recommend approval now, or do we want to do it in our next meeting? Because I think if we try to set up an overall system for filtering grants or inviting grants, that's going to take too long, and we'll miss a lot of opportunity. And we simply
Have,
don't have that many
so have
grants coming at us.
so just to be make sure that we're on the same page and I understand. So this grant proposal has been vetted by the Office of ANC, and they said that it's an eligible.
They haven't completed their review yet. They
Yeah,
did tell me, though, that we are free to approve with the contingency that it be determined permissible by the Office of ANCs.
yeah. I not to be bureaucratic, but I think for future meetings, I think the order should be different. That like they should review them before we consider them and then say that, yeah, this is a valid, eligible grant. And then we would have, the applicant presenting understanding that we can approve. I get like it doesn't matter that like if it goes back to them and they say it's not eligible, we
Mhm.
won't fund it. But I think for that reason, like not to, have the process be in like not in a specific order. So and then I mean I think it depends. Like I think as a commission we would want to have a discussion and see like I don't think it's a complicated criteria. It could be like this is 6E and then definition of like how it supports the community in 6E, and it doesn't have you have to reinvent a whole application. I think for me personally, what makes the most sense is like getting that green light from Office of ANC and then having the commissioners have enough time to review the application, even if it's one application. So I think I'm comfortable probably just following a more organized process by um, waiting for the next month. And do you know what's the timeline for the Office of ANC for vetting the
That
application?
well, they said they might be able to look at it very quickly, but it was just submitted, I believe, today, or certainly this week, so we don't have an opinion yet. And the sequencing, though, is not the key thing, because we can make a recommendation with that contingency. Clearly, we would be, we might be encouraged to recommend if we had their ruling, but on the face of it, my guess is that there's nothing impermissible here, um, because of the nature of the proposal. And
Yeah.
so it's more about whether we feel that this is an appropriate expenditure of our funds, and whether it will accomplish something that we think should be done. And if we were to defer action on it, I would encourage us to take advantage of this time, this when we have Kenyatta before us, to explore any questions that we have about the project, so we don't have to go through this again and
Yeah.
a second time if we were to defer the vote. And we could either do it at our next meeting or call a special meeting simply to vote on that once we are satisfied that we've had a chance to review the application and the budget and other things.
Sounds good. I do want to hear from other commissioners,
Yeah,
Commissioner Hans.
yeah.
Yeah, so I also think that we need to wait a little bit until we have our own ducks in the row here. Like, I have no doubt that this is a legit expense, and looks like a really good idea. I'm not like opposed to it at all. Like, Kenyatta, we always appreciate the work you're doing in the community, but my fear is one day we're gonna get 15 grant requests and we don't have enough money for all of them. How are we gonna decide who gets money versus who doesn't? Like, we don't have a system in place. So by us doing this and just like quickly approving something, this could set us up for trouble down the line for the rest of the commission. And so that is my only concern is, hey, let's just slow down and think about how we want to deal with these moving forward. Because, yeah, because this could get us in trouble. And I've actually already got an idea of how we can do it. I was thinking maybe every quarter we evaluate grant requests. And so the next quarter is actually starting in April. So this could be good timing. If they meet all of the ANC criteria, if they meet, sorry, all of the Office of ANC criteria, and we have the funding, they're approved. Now, if there's too many of them, we could do like a random selection. And so all of the ones that are legit from OANC, and if they're picked out of a hat, they get it, or something like that. But we need to think this through more. We should not be rushing this.
Commissioner Alada.
Yeah, so I've not been on this commission as long as some others, but I'm wondering when was the last time we got a grant application? I think
We've
that,
never
yeah,
Probably the
so
first time
that
ever.
precedent.
Yeah. That's why I
I
don't think
would
we're gonna get 15. But who
I would suggest considering the timing of the upcoming DC 250, I mean the 250 celebration here, and the fact that we have not gotten a grant application in my year and a half or year plus on the commission, and potentially longer to others, that we should vote on this as a proposal, obviously conditional on OANC's approval. And then we can, going forward, create a mechanism and a process for reviewing grant applications. But it doesn't seem to me to make sense to postpone and delay reviewing and making a decision now on this grant application, considering for the sake of a future process or getting in the way of a future process.
I hear you. Commissioner Rogers, do you have anything to say?
No, not at this time.
Yeah, I mean, I do hear the concerns of Commissioner Hans, but I think it will probably always get back to just the individual voting of each commissioner. I don't know if we're gonna agree all on like what is a top if we get multiple grants in the first place, if we will agree on a criteria or like what is considered, top priority. I don't know if like a random selection is a good thing. And the other thing, I think doing it over only like specific timelines is that some of them could be time sensitive and they're not going to wait, for a couple months. It will be over. But then Kenyatta, is this time sensitive for you? Like what would not getting the grant do? Would it significantly delay what you're trying to do?
I don't, no, it won't. It basically changes
Okay.
the color of the money. We're gonna do the project. And
Okay.
so we learned about this fund, only recently, hence the timing of when, and we said, hey, that's a good opportunity. Um, in all transparency, for us as an organization, if we put funds behind this, we like to put as much money as we can around clean and safe activity because that's our first foremost priority, right? We do have, some priority for what we call placemaking, but clean and safe are our two priorities. And so, to the extent the ANC, the commission, would be willing to do this for the public education purposes that we're trying to do it, that allows us to shift greater resource into, boots on the ground here in the neighborhood to, clean trash and do some security patrols.
Um, this is a democratic process. So if Commissioner Prince, you would want to make a motion later on, and then individual commissioners can vote the way that they want. Commissioner Hans, did you have a question or something to say?
Yeah, just one thing I wanted to add about the whole, like we were saying, the whole random selection. That's actually how the DC housing folks handle it because for first-time home buyers, they have a fund. And so how do they select the people that get it? It's a random lottery. So that's why I threw that out there. It'd be in line with how the DC government does stuff.
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Prince.
Yeah, I would say that I would support moving ahead on this now. There obviously there is an issue of time, although it is not an issue of urgency. If we delay it a month, that will simply delay the possibly the display time, or they will just move ahead, and we will not uh, uh, have ANC underwriting this project. And I think this is the kind of thing that we ought to be funding. One of many kinds of things that we ought to be funding in the community. The price is honestly it's rather low. I had a federal grants warrant for a much larger amount, and this would have been a very modest undertaking. So I should say when I was still in federal service, of course. And so I obviously, the Mount Vernon Community Improvement District is a well-known, reputable organization. I don't think we can be confident of that. So when you're ready, I would certainly introduce a motion to move ahead on it. We can vote on it when you're ready to
Yeah,
have discussion.
okay. Yeah, I think, you know, I personally also like had a different preference about the process, but at the same time, if we have different levels of comfort, this is a democratic process where we can individually vote on it the way we feel is the right thing to do. Well, I want to pause and see if constituents have any questions, comments about this project for Kenyatta and his team. Can you use the raise hand option. Let us know if you have any questions. Okay. What is and Kenyatta, what is the second request?
Oh yeah. So the second request, like I said, once we found out about, this fund, we may be coming to you ourselves 15 times a month at this point because it seems like a really great opportunity. But
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
i- in all seriousness, as you all know, we just opened Cobb Park partially. And, we have every anticipation that the western portion of the park will be significantly completed by late April, early May. So the entire park will be open at that point, all four gates. And we would like to throw a community celebration, a party. And this commission voted in 2018, 6-0, in support of a resolution for the results of our MBT open space study, which is a predecessor activity that led to all the work we did to get to Cop Park. And so, given the type of community celebration we would like to have, and all of the various line items. One discrete line item that we hope is in alignment with the rules proffered by OANC is we're going to hire a third party group to organize the entire event. So basically, an event producer. So that is a very discrete cost that and we received proposals from six entities actually, and there's one entity that is our preferred entity, and the cost of producing the event from that entity is $20,000, and so we're coming to the ANC for your consideration of a request of $20,000 to help offset the cost to pay that entity to put together this party that we're aiming for May 9th, Saturday, May 9th, to have for the entire community and beyond to celebrate the opening of our new community park. So that's the second request. You're on mute, sir.
Sorry. Have you submitted an application for the Office of ANC on this request, or is this the
Yes,
first time
that,
here?
that went in as well. I see
Okay.
Commissioner Prince nodding his head.
And what is the time you're saying that it's for May 8th, but like when do you need to hear from us on this?
Um, you know,
I know that like
we,
as soon as possible is the
yeah.
desired answer, but like what is the time sensitivity? Because
Well, we would have to basically begin. We're 6 weeks out at this point, actually less than that, five and a half.
Mhm.
And so the planning components of it, it would. I'll say the entire exercise itself is going to cost a significant amount of money. The bands, stages, all the things. Um, and so to the extent we can go in to this activity with an offset already in hand, it'll reduce the amount of pressure for having to raise that sum of money, that significant sum of money, in order to have the type of event that the community would be proud of.
um yeah, yeah, especially for this one, I think I may be more comfortable waiting a little bit. We could, but again, if you feel strongly about it, Commissioner Prince, there's nothing stopping you from making a um or like if anyone else wants to make a resolution, but I think I would rather wait a little bit to think more and understand the application better. Go ahead, Commissioner Prince.
Yeah, I have a little bit different approach on this one because I have not had a chance to review the grant. I didn't know that the date was so close. And it's also a larger request. And I'm just reviewing it now, but I would like to make sure that others have a chance. So in fact, this one, I do think that we should defer a decision and either meet in special session to take a decision or take it up at April 25th. And I know that Kenyatta, that may put us out of the running for this or make our support more difficult. But I would want to make sure I'm looking for things like I would have questions about cost share and I see there's zero overhead, but then there's the issue of it being a third party implementer and so forth. So a lot of things that are not really clear to me because it's a more complicated request. So that would be my position to try to take it up as soon as possible, but with full consideration by all the commissioners
So
or
I'll
commissioners
offer,
who want to do it.
I'll offer just to, for the sake of future conversation, we'll be happy to pull back this request. I think we're going to continue, our formulation of this project. And by April 22nd, the next meeting at ANC, there will be more discrete line items that will be identified that the
Mm,
ANC will have an opportunity to fund. So I would be okay with waiting another month so that there's additional clarity around the ask and to give the Office of ONC the time to weigh in as well. And then we can come back in a month with maybe a different line item, maybe a band or the bouncy house or a stage or something like that for the ANC, if
Good.
that's acceptable to all of you.
certainly to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Um, okay, Commissioner Prince, would you like to make a motion to vote on the gallery or the exhibition item?
Yes. So I move that ANC 6E approve a grant application for $4,200 from the Mount Vernon Triangle Community Improvement District for its photo walk project, contingent upon a finding of permissibility from the Office of Advisory Neighborhood Commissions.
A second.
I second.
Okay. Okay, I heard Commissioner Latta first. Let me see. That was a mouthful. Let me see if I will remember that. So Commissioner Prince moved the motion, and Commissioner Latta seconded a motion to approve on issuing an ANC 6E grant for 4,200 or about 4,200 for the Mount Vernon Triangle SID for the photo walk exhibition. It's okay, we can work on the exact wording in the
Maybe it
resolution.
should be the exact grant request amount, in fact, which
Okay.
is, I think,
What is it?
4,198, is it? I'm looking at it
Request
right
is
here.
for 4,200, but the total budget that they had was 4,189.84, I think.
Okay.
They
What
rounded
is
up.
so what is the request? Again, the requested amount.
Well, oh, I see it. A grant amount requested 4,200. Yes, it's on the form.
Okay. $4,200 for the walk photo exhibition. I will be calling on you to vote individually. You can abstain, say nay or a. Aye. Commissioner Latta,
I
Commissioner Rogers,
Aye.
Commissioner Prince,
Aye.
Commissioner Hans,
Nay.
and then I will vote. I will abstain. We have one abstain, one nay, and then three ayes, so it passes. I support the project, but this is more of like not contradicting myself saying that we
And I'm the
should have
same
had a
way.
better process.
Yeah, like
What's
I'm the
that?
same way. And I'm the same way. I'm not against it.
Yeah,
That's how we're going
right.
about this.
Yeah, it's more about like um more about, the process and not the project and what it means. Great. We will so this is all again as a reminder contingent on the final green light or approval from the Office of ANC,
Hmm.
but we will work with you on getting you a resolution, and then if you can send us more information as we get closer to our next meeting about the park requests,
Hmm.
that would be great.
That's,
And then we can discuss it and vote. Thank you again for joining
yeah.
us.
Thank you. And
Yeah,
one other thing, I do want to
yeah, go
add
ahead.
that the ANC will be given promotional credit on all of the photos. So it'll say sponsored by Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E. So thank you very much.
Great. More for constituents to learn who we are and what ANC 6E does. Great. Thank you for joining us and have a good night. And let's see. Do we have next? I think it's someone from MPD who could give us a public safety update. If you're with MPD and would like to provide a quick public safety update, please use raise hand option. Good evening, Lieutenant Archer.
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Awesome. Good evening, all. Hope everybody is doing well. I don't have too much to report this evening. However, just want to kind of shed some light on what's going on PSA 102, respect to public safety. As you guys have probably seen, maybe in the news or just kind of travel about the community, one of the biggest things that we're responding to right now is the large presence of juveniles that happens to be in the area. Seems that the young folks have seen Chinatown as their meetup spot, evenings after school. So we've had to kind of change our posture to ensure that we have additional units in that particular area. We also too had 3 juvenile curfew zones that occurred in the district. Occurred in the first district last weekend to include Chinatown, Ward, as well as Navy Yard. Federal partners at Amtrak have closed the Union Station to juveniles and the youth. So now we're kind of seeing their presence out and about in the community. So if you're seeing us, out, that's pretty much what our response is. It's trying to more or less get in front of this. Weather is breaking, kids are going to be out pretty soon. I think maybe next week for a spring break. So I think this posture will probably remain for the foreseeable future. They have really done a number on the community, Chinatown, in terms of our businesses. A lot of our businesses have voiced their displeasure in terms of just the disorderly, the environment that they kind of cause fear, what have you. So our presence there is more just to kind of tamper down on that. Respect to crime, we're pretty much holding pretty steady, like where we were last year about that time, which is good. So we're just going to keep at that. But that's been the bulk of what we pretty much are responding to in the PSA 102. I don't have anything else to report out on unless someone has any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Lieutenant Archer or constituents?
Hope you all enjoy the rest of your week and you all stay safe.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Moving to the next item, I see that Council Member Charles Allen has joined us. Think think you would have to accept the promotion to panelist to be able to turn on your camera.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Oh, I can hear you. Okay. Yeah,
Sorry, I'm joining from my phone, so I
no
don't think I'm
problem.
able to actually connect that way, so I apologize.
All good. We can hear you and see you. Okay. Thanks for joining us.
All right,
It would
absolutely.
be great if you can give us an update. I think, as usual, the budget, FY 27 budget will be a hot topic. I think other hot and emerging issues we've been hearing about is the spiking Pepco prices, youth
Hmm.
curfews, and yeah, I think like public safety in general. We cannot have you here without asking about DDoT issues, protected bike
Always,
lanes,
always. Yeah,
safety interventions, all of the good stuff this year act. I know that I've
yeah,
mentioned a lot of issues, but it would be great to get that update from you, and then we'll have some time saved for commissioners and constituents to ask me questions. Does that work for you?
perfect. Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, so first off, thank you guys so much for making time on your agenda. I know you are busy, so I really appreciate that. I try every spring to kind of pop into our ANC meetings. Seems to be a good time as we are headed into the budget and being able to kind of share where things stand both in the ward and the city and down at the council. So I'll do my best to kind of maybe hit a couple of highlights and then of course just leave plenty of time for questions and discussion. Um, you talked about everyone's kind of utility bills. I would say, that I chair the council's committee on transportation and the environment, and a few weeks ago, I was given the oversight responsibility for the Public Service Commission. So when Kenyon McDuffie resigned from the council, his portfolio on energy issues moved over to my committee, which I think makes a lot of sense because it's aligned with our Department of Energy and Environment. But it also means that I can start doing some really strong oversight of the Public Service Commission. Everybody has probably seen their utility bills spiking over the winter. It is not just because it was very cold and people were using more energy. Something really is going on with the costs of that energy and the distribution to your homes. So tomorrow, actually, I've got a hearing on 6 different bills, one of which is called the Grid Act, which is all about how do we help improve energy generation in our city, both for people who have maybe a home where they can put solar rooftop and help create their own energy there. But also, it allows for many of our renters or condo owners what we call balcony solar, which allows you to do plug in. It's used widely in Europe, but it's a great way for folks to help, shave off a couple $100 a year by creating some energy generation there. It basically cuts red tape. It speeds up the process. It lowers costs for folks to be able to increase energy generation and production, and at the end of the day, save money. Another bill that we're having a hearing on tomorrow has to do with how do we have a essentially universal enrollment. We have a lot of programs that try to help people afford their utility bills, and the thing is, we keep asking people to jump through hoop after hoop after hoop. So a bill I wrote just streamlines that process and really makes it so that folks can come straight in. If you're already eligible for TANF, if you're already eligible for SNAP, you can just be automatically enrolled in these programs. And again, it can save people hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on their bills. So stay tuned for tomorrow. It's going to be a good hearing. We've got dozens of public witnesses that are coming. And I look forward to kind of hearing that and then be able to move quickly because we've got a lot of work to do. It's not just for our residents, though. I do want to be clear. These rising utility costs, they impact your businesses. So all of your local businesses are having to pay more, and they can only do so much to absorb those costs. So we're going to start to see that play out in the cost of a hamburger or anything else. Your government is also facing this. So as we are facing a budget, being able to afford rising utility costs means that we have to start cutting back in other places. So getting a control on this is important. The last thing I'll mention on the Public Service Commission, I've really tried to increase the amount of oversight over this entity. You may have seen the Court of Appeals just overturned one of their decisions that they had made, which was something we've all been paying since 2025 on your Pepco utility rates. And they basically said the PSC didn't follow their process. And so they've kicked that out. So they've got some tough questions they've got to answer about why they are not focused on, frankly, the residents and local businesses. I think people are concerned that they are too focused on the financial viability of your utility companies and not focused as much on controlling these rising rates. So I'm excited about that job and looking forward to it. Another thing at the council right now, we are preparing for the budget. So the mayor typically would be sending the budget to us on April 1st. We have been told that's not going to happen. There may be a couple of days delay. We're hopeful that maybe we get the budget by the end of the week next week, but we're not exactly sure. But no matter when we get it, it is going to be a difficult budget. The mayor is trying to balance in the face of an economy that is struggling with all of the cuts that Trump has been making. So we have rising unemployment in the district, and that is absolutely impacting and decreasing spending that we see. So we're seeing not only income taxes being hit from people that are losing their jobs, but we're also seeing spending go down. So we're seeing sales tax be impacted. So really significant impacts on the DC budget, which makes all of it very difficult. It's a little hard to predict exactly how the mayor is going to try to balance this budget, but I think uh, there's no question it's going to have some very difficult decisions in it, and we are going to have to figure out how to solve this. Once the mayor does submit the budget, it's the council's job now to get the public input on it. What do you like? What do you not like? What needs to change? And so we'll be moving into agency budget hearings in pretty short order, and that will run for about 6 weeks before we start moving into budget votes sometime in kind of mid to late May. So please stay tuned, and I'll be providing updates around that on my website, on our newsletter, and we definitely want to make sure people are staying in tune and letting me know what happens. We also will host every year a Ward 6 budget town hall, and I'll be hosting that. We haven't scheduled exactly what date or location yet, but stay tuned for that. But it's an opportunity because not everyone can come down to the Wilson building and testify at an agency budget hearing. So it gives us the chance to go out in an evening, usually a little more, conducive to neighbors' schedules with kids, families, work, whatever. And so it's a great opportunity for us to present what's in the budget and then get your feedback in that setting as well. So stay tuned, and we'll let you know about that one. Another upcoming event I do want ANC 6E to be aware of, and I welcome your partnership on this. Every spring, we do the Ward 6 Great Spring Clean. The idea behind it is to help just clean up in our neighborhood. I know, like probably you all, I'm sick and tired of when I see trash or litter in my neighborhood. And so the idea is we can all take small steps. And so I started hosting this a couple of years ago. I think the first year we had maybe a dozen people participate. Last year we had several hundred. It's grown every single year. And the idea behind it is you can spend 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe an hour at most, just kind of moving through the neighborhood, picking up trash, cleaning it up. It makes a big difference. And I think it also helps change culture of folks who feel like maybe they're just going to drop that piece of garbage on the sidewalk rather than a can. And it's really a great way in spring clean mode to help us clean up our neighborhoods. And so I encourage everyone to be a part of that. Would love ANC 6E. If you guys want to host a site or two, we can help promote it, recruit volunteers for it. But it's a great way for us to be able to just kind of show some pride across Ward 6 and be able to help clean up in the process. I probably will cut off there if I can. Oh, wait, let me do one more. You mentioned the Steer Act, so I'll do that, and then definitely want to turn it over just to help answer your questions. I did want to highlight, and thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for kind of teeing this up. I passed the Steer Act to the council about 2 years ago, and the idea behind it was to help hold dangerous drivers accountable. We've all probably seen where, somebody has been speeding and they've been just racking up dozens, if not in some cases hundreds, of dangerous driving and speeding violations, tens of thousands of dollars of unpaid violations. So the Steer Act allows us to finally hold those folks accountable, and the Attorney General can take them to court if necessary. And what we're seeing is it finally make a difference that people believe there is accountability when they are driving and speeding through our city. And I think it's a big part of why we've seen in the last year, after year after year after year of increasing injuries and fatalities on our roadways. This past year, we actually saw the first decline in about 10 years, and we're continuing to see improvements there. So I think education and engineering is a really important part of how we help have safe streets, but enforcement has got to be a part of it. And the Steer Act allows us to do that. And I really appreciate the partnership with our Attorney General and his team to really focus in on that and hold some of these really dangerous drivers accountable. Whether they're from Maryland, Virginia, or anywhere else, the law allows them now to go after everybody. Whereas before this, they frankly didn't have any accountability. They could just speed, rack up dangerous driving, speeding tickets, and never have to worry about paying it. And I think it contributed to just dangerous situations on our streets, injuries, and deaths. And so I'm really glad that we're starting to see that type of enforcement and seeing the impact, which really means safer streets for everybody, no matter how you're getting around. So why don't I stop there so I can leave plenty of time for any questions that you guys may have. And again, I really appreciate you all taking time and giving me a little bit of time on your agenda.
That's great. Thank you for your leadership on the Steer Act. I can start. I have a couple questions, and
Mhm.
then I'll stop to see if other commissioners have questions. If you could expand a little bit more about why this budgeting season is difficult, and
Mhm.
then if you can let us know if there have been any conversations on the council side about how some of these projected or expected cuts could be filled. Have there been any discussions about any specific proposals that could help with that?
Yeah. So part of this is the economy, the district's economy feels very strong in some parts, but overall the actions from the federal government have really done a number on DC. So we are seeing tourism being impacted, for example. And what that means is when people are traveling here and spending money, when fewer people are doing that, it has an impact. We're seeing international tourism in particular really cut down because the rhetoric and the actions have really made it where we see international tourism decline. And that is a big part of significant spending, actually. So that sales tax revenue that we would normally collect isn't there. And that's very problematic. We're also seeing, of course, job losses. So DC has had an unemployment rate that is higher than the national average for the first time in 25 years. That should be very sobering for everyone. On top of that, what we find is that households headed by Black women, the unemployment rate is 3 times that of the rest of the city. So we're also seeing this really break on some households more than others and very disproportionately. So that is deeply problematic. The other compounding factor is in last year's budget, the mayor proposed a budget that for the FY26, that's the fiscal year that we're in right now, continued a lot of programs, but then zeroed them out in FY27. So in other words, next year and beyond. And the hope was that we would start to see an economic recovery and that new revenue would help refill those different programs. That has not happened. So what we're seeing is a budget that actually starts from zero in a lot of places where today that program is fully funded. So that compounds the fiscal pressures that we are facing, and it's going to be a challenge. You may have heard or read about in the media that the budget is beginning almost $1 billion in the hole. That's because of what I talked about, that a lot of these programs were zeroed out in FY27 and beyond, kind of banking on an economic recovery that didn't happen. And so that's why the budget's going to be even harder this year than it would be normally. Now, I'm somebody who believes that we are going to have to figure out how to meet this moment in a way that we'll see some things that I don't like. There will be cuts to programs that I don't like. There will be things that we are unable to do that I otherwise think are a great idea. But we cannot balance a budget or meet this moment with cuts alone. So I do believe while there's no specific proposals in front of us at all, we do need to think about, should we be looking at revenue raisers in any way? Who or where would we be looking for that? Also, are there frankly savings within government? Are there efficiencies that we can really squeeze and press the district government to do better on and find savings so that we can reinvest that money back into the people that really need that help? Again, think about it. If we are seeing rising unemployment, and in particular, unemployment in some parts of our city much greater than others, then that probably means we've got to really think about the investments in some neighborhoods. And just cutting programs is not going to be the answer. We will have cuts. There's no way around it. But I think we've got to have a very balanced approach.
That is very helpful. And one quick question before we move regarding traffic safety, and correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that in DC we have fines for dangerous driving, speeding, but we don't have a point system that you know could be used
Well,
as a
so
safe method. Is that correct or
Well, so we actually do in that in the
okay?
Steer Act. The Steer Act did two major things. One is that it created the ability for the Attorney General to be able to go file these lawsuits that I was talking about to help hold dangerous drivers accountable. The second thing it did, which the mayor has not fully implemented, is to use essentially a point system to then have DPW or a private contractor immobilize a vehicle. And so essentially what that means is put a boot on them or tow them. And so we do have the legislative framework that's been passed and approved. It just has not been implemented yet. But that is in the Steer Act to be able to help, again, catch those scofflaws when they park on our streets to be able to immobilize their vehicles.
And who would be responsible? Which agency? Is it DDOT or
It's
you
a
know
it's a
there?
combination of the DMV, who would
Okay,
be essentially tracking the points on the car registration, and then DPW is the agency that actually does the booting or the towing.
got it. Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Councilmember Allen? Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Prince.
Thank you. Dale Prince here. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks.
I have a question about energy costs, and then I have a few questions about the biking network. The energy costs question is, we in December we had some folks here from Pepco who made us aware of the impact of data centers on
Mhm.
rising energy costs, and the data centers. They're elsewhere. They're up in Pennsylvania or some other place. So, we don't really control them, And I'm wondering, is there anything that DC can do to try to mitigate the impact of these data centers? Because we are in the same larger, I can't remember the term they use, but it's a network or an area,
Hmm.
regional, something or other. And so we are part of that and we get hit by it. What can be done
Yeah.
to offset that?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. And just real fast for everybody, I'll kind of back up a second. So, data centers are largely being built in Loudoun County, Virginia, Prince George's County, Maryland, Montgomery County, Maryland, like you said, up in Pennsylvania, other places. We may not have a data center that's built in DC, but I promise you, every time you open up your power bill, you're seeing a data center. What's happening is we are part of our power grid is called PJM, and that is essentially the mid-Atlantic states. So PJM has been horrible at bringing on new energy generation. So what that means is bring it on, whether it's renewable sources like wind and solar or any other type of energy generation. They haven't increased the supply of energy. Then they have fast tracked these large data centers, which increase your demand on electricity needs. So what we're doing, and for anyone who's taken Economics 101 will be able to know, if your supply stays the same, but demand is spiking, then costs go up. And so that's what we're all experiencing. It's not just that it was cold and you probably had to keep the heat on a little bit more than you normally would. The cost of that energy is spiking right now because the demand from these data centers is so great compared to a relatively static supply. So what can we do about it? Um, there's not a lot we can do about a data center in Loudoun County. I'm a part of a regional group of elected officials for the region, and they kept saying to me in Loudoun County, "Hey, you know what? When these data centers come in, we're able to raise taxes on them, and it creates new revenue for us. It's great." I can't. The thing is, I can't tax a data center in Loudoun County. I can't tax a data center in Prince George's County, Montgomery County, or Pennsylvania, but we pay the consequences. So we're trying to work as a region to help balance this out a little bit, but we're not going to build a coal power plant in DC, nor should we. But you know what we can do? Things like the Grid Act that we'll be talking about tomorrow in a hearing, we can increase energy generation here in DC through solar. That's one of the few places where DC can actually do something around energy generation. And the more energy that we can generate, it offsets the costs and lowers costs for everybody. So that's why we're trying to make it easier to remove that red tape, to lower the cost, make it more predictable and easy to install solar, because that's a way that is in our control to help lower costs. So um, it is a tricky situation in that we are subject to what other jurisdictions do, but there are things we can control, and that's what we're trying to push on.
Mhm. Thank you. So the solar, this is at the sort of the consumer level, not, these are not solar panel farms anywhere here. These are like the ones on the balcony or things. Is that what you mean?
Well, that's what like you as the individual resident can do. And
Yeah.
so this legislation
Yeah.
will help with that. It will also help, however, with community solar. So larger arrays. So some people think of it like a solar farm or a solar array. It helps make that happen faster as well and cuts that red tape. There's a project, for example, in Ward 7 where they have built out kind of on this piece of land that nobody could really figure out what to do with. It's kind of at a grade that's very difficult to build housing. So they built a solar array there. And then they actually worked with some of the apartments and housing right near it to help offset energy costs. So that helped. It wasn't necessarily rooftop solar, but it was a way to create solar energy generation and then also help lower people's electricity bills right next door. So the legislation will help with that type of opportunity as well.
Great. Um, okay. If I can ask my second about my
Hmm.
second topic, which is about the strategic bikeways plan and specifically the prospects for a good east-west connection. I've been advocating for
Yep.
that with my non-ANC hat for some time, particularly in the Q&R corridor. I'm interested in knowing, what do you think should be prioritized in the strategic bikeways plan? And the east-west connection issue, I think, came up during oversight hearings.
Yep.
and where do you think we're going on that? And it's taken an awful long time. Is it all about
Yep.
parking, for example? What do you see there on that connection?
Yeah, it was a part of last year's oversight hearing as well, and it speaks to the significant gap. We have built out and have kind of created a lot of really good north-south connections. We just really lack solid east-west connections for safe bike trips, whether that be commuting, just moving around neighborhoods. So the DDOT bike pathways plan you're talking about, on some degree, I've heard some skeptics kind of say, is it stalling the process? Is it slowing it down? Is it kind of slow rolling things? My hope is that it will create some shared vision and some urgency around this. you know, the challenge right now is, of course, we are watching. The mayor on wasn't in Ward 6, but Arizona Avenue Northwest, for example, took out a bike lane. Um, the mayor is not pushing forward on a lot of bike infrastructure right now, and that kind of gives me a little bit of pause. Do I expect this year to see really significant east-west connection, for example, for bike infrastructure? Um, you know, there is an election coming up, and elections have consequences. And so it could be that part of what we're doing is helping lay the groundwork and lay out the vision so that whoever the next mayor is helps advance some of those projects. Um, it's very natural with the end of anyone's term that they're going to focus in on a couple of big projects, maybe to kind of finish out for their term. So I hope that we can continue to see progress, and I will continue to help make sure it's funded and we're pushing it. But I think that east-west connection, we really got to continue to keep the pressure on, because I hear that from a lot of folks that it just doesn't exist, and it's taken just way too long to get that built.
Thank you.
Great. Other commissioners, do you have any questions or constituents? You can type your question in the Q&A box or use the raise hand option to ask any questions or flag any issues.
Yeah, if I can go.
Yeah.
Hey there, it's Ratan Chans. Wanted to just advocate for the dog park, as I'm sure you probably knew I
Yes.
was going to bring up. So there's virtually been no opposition to this, and it's actually one of the top asks of the community, as you obviously know.
Yep.
And we have data that shows that people want this from Kenyatta too. So I've got some other stuff, in here in what I wrote, just about how, it can also increase traffic in areas. And you just talked about how the district is struggling with deficits right now. So my thought was maybe this can bring some businesses back between fourth and fifth, because we've lost about 5 to 6 just in that small block. So
Yeah.
just wanted to advocate for it and appreciate your support.
Absolutely. You have done a phenomenal job of building the support for this. I really appreciate it. Yeah, when you and I walk that site, it makes total sense to get that dog park done. I think it's one of the high needs that we hear from a lot of neighbors, to have that fenced off, dedicated kind of dog park area. So I'm going to make this a priority as we go through the budget. The good news is, on the budget, while the operating budget, meaning the dollars to run programs, is really tight, the capital budget does have a lot more flexibility. And for folks who might ask me then, well, hey, why don't we just move capital dollars over to operating? We can't move those dollars back and forth like that. So DC has essentially two budgets. One is our capital, that's building things, and then our operating, that's programs and personnel. And so the capital budget's in a better position. And so I feel like we should be able to get this project moving, and I'm going to make it a budget priority with you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Great. Again, other commissioners, do you have any questions or constituents? Any comments? You can use the raise hand option Q&A box. Well, in the meantime, while we get other questions, building on the comment about businesses, we continuously hear about small and local businesses suffering. Have 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 you or maybe the collective council looked into reasons? Is it, rent prices, commercial rents, like just like inflation, maybe you mentioned tourism, and changes related to tourism, but just like better understanding where that issue stands. And then we hear some discussions about Initiative 82. And I think like the next phase was delayed by council. So are there any updates, anything you would like to share about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of your question around kind of what is causing the problem, it's kind of all the above. So certainly when I talk to our local businesses, they tell me, even as an economy struggles, the rent just keeps going up, and so they're struggling with that. Tariffs have absolutely impacted our local businesses. And people may think the disconnect between, Trump puts a tariff on Canada or kind of whatever it's going to be. It is absolutely impacting our local businesses. And so all those things combined, as well as, you know, when you lay off tens of thousands of people in a region, everyone has to tighten their belt. So maybe they're not going out to their restaurant quite as much. Maybe they're scaling back some of those expenditures or those purchases they were planning on, and that impacts your local business. So all these things combined are having a big impact. One of the ways that we're trying to help, a couple of years back, I created what's called the small retailer tax credit. And that was $5,000 a year for our small businesses to have a tax credit to help them absorb the rising costs of rent or other things like that. Last year, about a year and a half ago, we were able to double it to $10,000 a year. And that's been really meaningful to a lot of our local businesses to be able to get that type of relief. Your big businesses are not eligible to get that. It really is targeted at your small and local businesses, and it's a little bit of a lifeline. And those are some of the tools that we need to be continue to expand to help support those businesses. Um, but yeah, it's kind of all the above that's really impacting them and their costs.
Great. And do you have anything to share about Initiative 82, where it stands, next steps, or what would have been discussed up to date about the implementation?
Um, I what you're talking about is the tip minimum.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So last year, the council approved essentially, a compromise. Um, and nobody loves compromise, so that means that nobody was 100% happy. What it did is there was an effort to repeal Initiative 82. I did not support that. That would have moved wages backward for working people. And so the what the compromise did is it did a 1 year pause on the tipped minimum phase out. So it kind of gave. We were also hearing from a lot of our local businesses saying we are really struggling to make ends meet to meet these payroll increases. So we kind of met in the middle and gave a 1 year pause that helped our local businesses be able to kind of catch their breath a little bit, and then the increases start back up again, and then they kind of phase up and then they phase out. So wages will continue to go up, and then they're tied to inflation after that. So our minimum wage, for example, goes up every year, adjusted to inflation, so that we don't kind of hit this kind of stagnant point where 10 years go by and a dollar is worth a lot less all of a sudden. So we keep up with inflation, but that should take effect later this summer is when the next phase would kick in.
Thank you. Okay, commissioners and constituents, last call for any questions or comments. Okay, not hearing any. Thank you again for joining us. As usual, this was very helpful. Anything you would like to leave us with
Well, I
before we?
appreciate it. Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate it. Of course, reach out anytime that Jean Madison from my team joins our meetings every month. But feel free to reach out to her or me, and we're happy to help work on and start to solve any problem you've got. I'll put one more plug in for the Ward 6 Great Spring Clean. I would love to see ANC 6E maybe have a couple of sites, and we'll help drive traffic to you. But if you guys want to work together as an ANC, maybe identify a couple of locations, we'll help promote it, get folks out there, but really help just do a great job of help cleaning up our neighborhood and showing some pride in on the block. So again, I
Oh,
appreciate everything you guys do.
sorry, I just saw a comment, and then
Oh, sure.
that constituent raised their hand. Is it okay if you just stay with us for a couple
Sure.
minutes so that we ask the question? Okay.
Yeah.
Catherine, go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for letting me speak. I think I'm just a little bit concerned about um, some issues that you raised with the Steer Act.
Mhm.
And I think I'm just concerned about sending a high amount of people caught speeding to the district attorney's office, like leading to a higher level of criminalization of those that are caught speeding. And I'd like to put forward the chance to handle this in a different way instead of like reducing speeding outside of punishment. Even though I do recognize that it's a really dangerous act and it puts a lot of us in danger, I think that um, responding to it with like punishment and criminalization of people doesn't actually make much sense to me, especially as we see, especially within DC recently, a lot of these interactions with police are turning violent quickly. So yeah, I was just wondering if there's a chance for a
Yeah,
different response to speeding, if that's like could be prioritized.
sure. And actually, let me help address that because I I think the Steer Act does exactly what you actually want, which is it's not criminalization, it's civil, not criminal, and it decreases interactions with MPD. So what we're talking about is when someone is driving dangerously on the streets of DC and they're getting infractions through automated traffic enforcement, which you can't get a ticket through ATE until you're at least 11 miles per hour over the posted speed limit. And then on top of that, what we see is people are routinely racking up tens of thousands of dollars of dangerous speeding violations. So I'll take, for example, eighth grader Paisley, who was walking from a middle school to the library. She's in the crosswalk. Guy decides he just doesn't have time to wait for the red light. He zips around a car, hits her in the crosswalk, breaks her foot. Turns out he has $12,000 worth of unpaid dangerous driving speeding violations. Um, the Steer Act allows us to go after him in a civil court, not criminalization, but a civil court. And it also allows us to use these tools without increasing police interactions, which I think is something that you're sharing that you're concerned with. So the Steer Act is an effective tool that does not use criminalization, but uses the civil process to be able to hold dangerous drivers accountable and change behavior. Because I don't really care about the money. What I want is safer driving. I want people to be driving safely in our streets. And the problem that we were having is that in almost all these cases, it's a Maryland or Virginia driver. And our system is set up that there's no ticket reciprocity where in DC, for example, if I have a speeding ticket and I go to renew my tags or renew my license, I have to be able to go through and make sure I kind of clear that up. No such thing exists for Maryland or Virginia. So we were seeing this huge problem with Maryland drivers, Virginia drivers, just driving dangerously on the streets of DC. And so that's what it gets at. So I hope that helps clarify for you that it's not actually criminalization, it's using the civil process, and it actually helps reduce police interactions because it's using ATE cameras and being able to use the courts in a way that very different than a criminalization like you're talking about. Because I would share your same concerns around over criminalizing.
And the constituent typed in the Q&A box saying, thank you so much, very helpful. Appreciate the explanation. Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. One last call for questions, comments. Okay. Not seeing any. Thank you so much for joining us and for the updates and answering our questions and your time with us. And we will continue the conversation throughout the year.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much. Have a great night and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye bye.
Let's see. Do we have anyone from DDOT? Don't think that we do. Maybe they're not able to join. Commissioner Hans, would you want to give an update about the East Street non-congregate shelter CAT?
Yeah, sure. So we met, I want to say about a month ago with the CAT Community Advisory Team for the 25 East Street bridging. Sorry, 25 East Street. It's not shelter. Forgetting what the correct term is, but
Bridge
None,
essentially,
housing, I think.
bridge housing or non-congregate shelter.
yeah, bridge housing, I think is the right word. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this was really more of like an introduction meeting. So Commissioner Prince and myself both attended on behalf of ANC 6E. The main purpose of this CAT is to develop the good neighbor agreement because when a similar facility opened up I don't know how many years ago, a similar document was developed with the community and the housing project. So the idea was just to kind of come up with some, yeah, with a good neighbor agreement, just as it's exactly as it sounds. So that's going to be what we're going to start to work on in our next meeting.
And
Commissioner Hess, do you want to add anything? Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, nothing to add. Well,
And have
I would
you?
just maybe we could say that our co-chair is Sakina Thompson from, help me out here, from the
Mayor's
mayor's
office.
office. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she and Commissioner Hans are the two chairs of the CAT.
And it's has membership been appointed or not yet, or is that a next step?
Yeah, no, we had about close to about like 20 people that were in the meeting. So prior to having our first meeting, we identified stakeholders from each of the
Okay,
areas that were impacted. So yeah, membership has been finalized.
okay,
So
that's great.
just some ideas, yeah, I guess in terms of the people that are a part of this. So we have MPD, that's one part. Obviously, we have 6E. We've got some of the surrounding hotels also. And then we also have residents from that building or from that are neighboring that facility that are part of this and people that are part of the neighborhood. Um, we
Staff
have
from
also,
25 East Street,
right, 25 East Street. I believe
staff,
Miriam's
yeah.
Kitchen. Yeah, Miriam's Kitchen staff. We also have
Other
the
parts
mayor's
of
office.
DC government.
Yeah,
So
other
sorry.
parts of DC government. No, 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 this is helpful.
We've got
And
Downtown Bid, I believe, is a member. And
Georgetown
all of the
also.
meetings are governed by the Open Meetings Act, so the public can observe and comment.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Just looking at the um link to the website, maybe to share um in the Q&A box or in the chat. So if anyone is interested in knowing more about the meetings and how to join, because those are separate from ANC 6E meetings. So while I'm doing that, do you know if there's a website already set up? I believe that they usually set up websites for the.
Believe there is. Give me one second.
Okay. While we're working on that, Commissioner constituents, any questions or comments that you would like to make? So as mentioned, working on the community or the neighborhood agreement will be done separately outside of ANC 6E with two representatives, Commissioner Hans and Commissioner Prince on it, but the meetings will be done separately. And we will be giving updates here as possible. Any questions, comments? Okay. Yeah. So Commissioner Hans, thank you. Just posted
Everywhere.
a link. Yeah, that's great. A link to the website about the group for the CAT if you want to know more about the work that is done, upcoming meetings, and when is the next meeting? If I can announce that. Have you
Yes.
decided on a date where?
We have. So we usually meet on Mondays. The next one is on April 20th, Monday, April 20th at 6:30 on
Okay,
Zoom. Yeah.
great. Okay, thank you. Checking, do we have anyone from DDOT? Don't think so. Maybe we can discuss. Um, Let me double check if there's this deadline with the NOI. Let me see. Yeah, comments should be submitted by the 23rd, which is before our meetings. Commissioner, have you looked at it? Would you want to discuss it, support voting on resolution that supports the NOI for the improvements, or do you feel it would be difficult to do that without having a presentation? What is it? Our non-official transportation advisor. How do you feel about that, Commissioner Prince?
Thanks. I appreciate that, but we have not had a presentation on this yet. I thought perhaps we had. Maybe it was New York and
It was
Sixth
a
Avenue.
different, I think it was the
Sixth.
M and North Capitol intersection last month.
Yeah.
Um this is a different intersection. Let me see. It's Massachusetts,
Right.
Northwest, Fifth,
And
Northwest,
Fifth
and
and
I.
I, which is a
Yeah,
complicated intersection. I do recall seeing a graphic on this, but I really think it's better to have the presentation and the opportunity to engage with Q&A.
yeah,
Yeah, so I would like to do this one.
sure.
DDOT to be present.
Yeah, maybe I can reach out and ask if they could extend the deadline, since we didn't get the chance to have a presentation by them. Let's see, what other items do we have? Think moving to the open forum. We covered all the other items. As a reminder, any commissioner or constituent can raise an issue. We tend to have up to 2 minutes, and then we'll have ANC comment. Any First, we'll start by asking commissioners if you have any issues, any comments, anything you would like to raise during this time.
Just maybe if we could coordinate some time to work on the job application. I
Yeah,
don't know if we can do that now or maybe offline we can chat, but I just want to make sure we
yeah,
make progress. Yeah. And also other commissioners are welcome to join if you'd like to be part of the
yeah.
effort. Yeah.
So the next,
I can send some dates. It's just the two dates that you proposed were
Okay,
not
yeah,
convenient.
that's fine.
well, the next executive meeting is on the 15th, right? So we could use that time unless,
I'm traveling at that time.
okay,
Uh, well, actually, I I may be able to join voice only, but I am in
okay,
travel status then that evening, so it's going to be iffy for me.
okay. Yeah, we can discuss, but I think we can work on improving it. And what has been being discussed is that we collectively, 60 voted on approving hiring an executive administrator to help with the administrative task and just following up on the next um, administrative processes by having a job description and a process for interviews and evaluation criteria. So, um, yeah, once we have an official job listing, we'll be posting on the website and we'll share that. Um, any other issues, comments, commissioners or constituents can use the Q&A box. Sure. Or raise the hand option. Go ahead, Caitlin.
I thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm a resident of Capitol Plaza Apartments at 35 E Street Northwest. I think I've met a lot of you. So just wanted to raise an issue that my neighbors and I have been dealing with over the past couple of weeks with early morning and late night deliveries at the Hilton Hotel on New Jersey Avenue Northwest. That's 525 New Jersey Avenue, which is just around the corner from us. The issue is that their delivery entrance is in the shared alley, which many of you who have been out here for community walks will be familiar with. So I have two questions that I'm hoping ANC can help me find answers to. The first is, are there designated hours in which businesses can receive deliveries. And then that meaning that there would be time outside of those hours where they couldn't accept deliveries, so like quiet hours. And the second question is, are there regulations in the district on how long delivery truck engines can idle when they are making deliveries?
I mean, I would be lying if I say that I have answers on the top of my head for those, but I think we have discussed this before, and I think the hours or the window seemed to be the permissible window seemed to be very early. How early do they start? Like
Sure.
before
So
6 a.m.?
early morning, we've been getting past 3 mornings. The hotel has had a produce truck delivering at 5:30 a.m. So it idles for
Okay.
about 15 minutes, pulls into the garage. We listen to the truck being unloaded. Similarly, in the evening, they get a delivery. I believe it's a laundry service that comes between 9:30 and 10:30. Although a couple weeks ago, one night it was as late as 11:15 p.m.
Yeah.
Same situation. The truck idles. We listen to the backup alarm. We have to listen to the truck being unloaded. I mean, we've been dealing with this for like at minimum 5 years right now, and we've tried to address it like with the hotel directly with limited success. It really just depends on if the hotel has a general manager that is responsive to our concerns. So I was just hoping to get some clarification on just those two
Yeah.
questions to at least know if I have like a leg to stand on here to pursue this further.
I feel like we have discussed this before, if not for this unit, for another unit, and I think it was um such a long window that also started early, but that doesn't mean that we cannot push for some resolution. Can you share the location, the address again?
Sure, it's 525 New Jersey Avenue Northwest. That's the Hilton Hotel.
I see. Yeah. Um, okay. Yeah, I think that's in 6007, but we can definitely follow up on that. Yeah, Commissioner Prince, go ahead.
Right. I can tell you what I think it may be applicable from the rules regarding after hours construction, because I get a fair number of after hours construction permit support requests, and it's if 7 a.m. is the time when normal work hours begin. So before 7 a.m., a construction firm would need an after hours permit, and I would think there's a chance that regular other business might need a permit too, but I don't know. And I think that the end of regular working hours may be 7 p.m. Um, that's something that could be verified. So that's kind of what I think. And that would be Monday through Friday. Weekends and holidays are a different matter, but I believe that standard working hours are 7 to 7 for construction. When I get a permit, I always look at the issue of material deliveries and trash pickup and so forth.
Yeah, the hotel also has a lot of construction going on right now, so we've been listening
Mhm.
to their like garbage, their like open top container for debris getting emptied at between 5:30 and 6 every morning for like 6 months. So
I wonder if they have a permit. They have to
we've
have a
been trying to
permit.
find that out, and we haven't had any success with the various city agencies that we've contacted. So
And a permit I think an after hours construction permit I believe, has to be renewed every month. And they usually come to the commissioner from that SMD and ask for a letter of support. They can get a permit without it, I think, but I usually, well, if they didn't come to me, I wouldn't know about it, but I get a lot of requests.
sure,
I think
thank you.
that's Commissioner Carson's SMD.
Yeah. I think the best thing to
Yes,
do is
that's Commissioner Carson, SMD, right? Uh, excuse me for butting in, but on the construction permits, after hour, they must request a letter that they wants to go over past amount of hours for that particular site. And there also is a request that uh you was right there. It'll be no more than about 2 hours. They open up at 7 a.m. and close it out at 7 p.m. But they're not supposed to have no hard machinery running either after
Oh,
hours.
yes.
No hard machinery. So I don't know if Commissioner Carson requested that, but if there's a lot of noise, I think she should say something.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
the best way to move forward, I just dropped my email address in the chat box. I think if you can just send me an email describing those issues, and then we can connect with Councilmember Al's office. And also, if you have, oh, I see John. Go ahead, John. Don't think I can hear you, John.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I think the host had muted me. Sorry. Um, So I was just going to make a recommendation. Sometimes when I deal with issues like that, I like to kind of pull all the leverage we have together. So for example, like the Mount Vernon Triangle SID has relationships with business owners like the Hilton. It might be interesting to engage the MOCR and call ABRA. You know, idling stuff is DOEE, but rather than kind of pick at the problem, I think to focus on solving it, which is exactly where your mind is, to be able to pull me, you know, our office, the ANC commissioner, the MOCR, and the SID might be a nice start.
Great. Yep. That sounds like a great plan. So, Caitlin, if you can email me, and then we can continue this conversation over email by looping in different offices to try to figure out a resolution.
Certainly. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course. Any other questions, comments by constituents? Can use the Q&A box or use the raise hand option. Commissioners, last call for any comments or questions. This may be a new time record. It's 8:22 p.m. I don't want to jinx it. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. The next meeting will be on the last Wednesday of April, which is the 29th. And I move to make a motion to adjourn. It's 8:23 p.m. right now. Anyone would like to second?
A second.
Okay, so Commissioner Abukaloff made a motion to adjourn the March 25th meeting, and Commissioner Rogers seconded. I'll be calling on you to vote. Commissioner Al-Adif,
Aye.
Commissioner Rogers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hans,
Aye.
Commissioner Prince,
Aye.
and I vote aye. So the motion passes with 5 ayes, 0 nays, and no abstains. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and have a good night. Again, we will convene again for the April meeting on the 29th, which is the last Wednesday of April. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Good night.
Good night.